What is up, my dingly dong dangers? It is time for a game development stream. Uh, can I like notify people about this? Where would I go? Here, at people, at let's say stream notice. Can I like notify people about
Guys,
this?
that's me.
Where would I go?
I know
Here,
that guy. Where is
at
he?
people, at let's say we on. All right. I'm calling this good. I don't have my chat window. Can I, there we go. All right, I can see the chat now. We're good. Everything's potentially working. Anyway, I'm gonna say that it's good until further notice. Yeah, dude. Oh, I've I've been having some fun stuff happen. I think I'll start today just by going over what we have for goals, at least until maybe a few people I can't talk, a few more people show up. Today's gonna be a bit of a weird one. So I just had my wisdom teeth removed like yesterday. So I don't know how how good or bad today's stream is gonna be, but we'll find out. This is what we have today. Bunch of stuff written. This is just like things that I want to do. Honestly, like some of these will not be that long. Some of these would be a long time, especially 3D models. That takes a long time. So we probably won't be doing any 3D modeling on stream today. Although maybe I don't know. I don't know. We'll see how things go. This is the main focus for today, though. I kind of made it the the title of today's stream and whatnot. I want to be making. And let's I don't really have an example that I can show in game, but I want to add explosions. Now, since last stream and this one, I've been doing quite a bit of work on this weapon here. Mainly fixing the bug that absolutely puzzled me at the end of last stream, fixing a different bug that was kind of funny, and making it feel so much fucking better to use. So this'll look pretty normal. This will look pretty much the same. I've added sound effects. I've added some camera movement. I've added some, like, what would be the term, like juice. I've tweaked some of the values. I've made it. I think this is a lot better than what we had at the end of last stream, and oh my god, I like it a lot. You know. So then you can combine this with an enemy. Like, look at this. This is just. I can't help but gush about it. It's really cool, alright? It's really cool. I think, not to pat myself on the not to pat myself on the back or anything, but I think this is pretty coolio bean. So, now you need to find an extreme. Oh, is he, this guy's making a Discord account so that he can, or not a Discord, a YouTube account so that he can join the stream officially. That's pretty cool. So where do we want to go first here? I think we're going to start with the creating some kind of base weapon, then going into the explosions, and then that. I think it'd be fun to explain two of the bugs that I was facing. All right. First one is very simple. If I go to the fucking weapon melee, no, wait, hitbox. So I need to go find that script. That's in projectiles hitbox here. So this thing, right? You remember this code. There should be this one line somewhere. Yeah, this. Right here. I had written it as this. And for some reason, this does not warn you that this does not throw a warning in any way that this could be a little bit of an issue here, you know? Now, both of these both of these types, entity object and game object, they both inherit from mono behavior. So I can understand from an inheritance sense why it might not throw an error. If I do like a if 1 equals 2, yeah, you can see that it throws an error right here. Cannot be applied between these two things. That makes sense. But if you create Cortex, yo, I'm on a ultra addictive. Yeah, nice. That's cool. But you can see that it'll warn you unreachable code detected because it knows that these two things can never be the same, even though they are the same data type, right? So what I'm wondering is why was it not doing the same thing for this line of code when it was like this. And the reason the reason I'm saying this is impossible is because let's remove this. So this line right here, this is comparing a game object to an entity object, similar name, different classes, both share the same inheritor of model behavior. This can physically never be equal to this. At least in terms of the object reference, they cannot be the same. I have to do .gameObject in order for them to be comparable. And I have no idea why it wasn't flagging this before, but that was a bug that was sometimes causing the sword to just stop hitting the enemies, even when it was working before. That's kind of that was a fun one. Here's the one that fucks with me, and I need to whip out like paint or something. Let me pull out Krita for this. So I'm sure you remember at the end of last stream, if you were here for the end of last stream, that I was having some trouble with the killing code on enemies, right? So you can see it's all working now. There's like the hit numbers and all that stuff, and all the explosions, and it's all looking normal, right? All of that's looking good and normal and stuff. That's fine. Where's Krita? So I had to fix this, and I don't blame myself for not figuring this out before. Can I just why does it say used? Okay, let's make a new. Just yeah, whatever. Okay. So how do I best go through this? So the problem, I would say, is not my fault, and the reason it was taking me so long is because I was literally running it through the same code. At the end of last stream, I spent, I think, like 45 minutes or something, just like running through all of my, I don't actually know how long I spent on it, maybe 30 minutes, just running through all of the code that I had. That's the videos, all of the code that I had, just looking for this shit, and it wasn't there. Like everything I was doing, at least at the very end of this, the stream, like maybe the last like 20 minutes, I don't know how long I spent on it. Yeah, all the code that I had written, completely fine. I don't know if I need to change my, if that'll affect the volume, whatever. Let me run you through something here. So where is Krita again? Did I just close it? I shouldn't have. No. Okay. So imagine you have, let's say you have your, actually I'm gonna make this the background, and then I'll use like white because I'm a fan of dark mode, you know? I like this shit. So let's say you have your fucking, what should we call this? The rigid body. Can I not draw? There we go. Let's call this is your rigid body, right? So rigid. There you go. Good enough. So this is your rigid body component. This is going to be your nav mesh. I don't care that this looks like ass. And then this is going to be your physics. Can I this looks really bad. I don't care, right? So you got these three things. This is the order they execute in. So let me explain what was happening. So the rigid body component of the enemy, can I get the enemy thing? Basically it was first running. Let me find this. So you can see you have this rigid body thing. The order in the inspector does not matter. I don't think it does anyway. But actually, maybe it does. No, that shouldn't matter. Anyway, this has basically, I had this enabled. I had to disable it to fix the bug from yesterday, but I'll get to why that fixes it. Basically, when it has gravity like this, right? When it has gravity, it's constantly applying a downward force to the object, pushing it into the floor. That means that if you go over here, every single physics update, if this is your enemy and this is the floor, it'll be pushing it down into the floor, but it'll then realize, oh shit, I'm colliding right here. So then it'll push the enemy butt back up out of the floor to where it should be. And also, in the same process, reset its velocity back to 0, you know? So then in the next physics update, it'll push it into the floor. It'll be like, oh shit, I'm in the floor. And then it'll push it back up. That's the right behavior. So that means that when the enemy goes like over here and you fall off a cliff, it's like, when it pushes it down in that physics update, there's no floor for it to collide with. There's nothing here. So it falls. That's how physics works. That makes sense. Well, I don't know if that, yeah, that is just kind of how it works. That's just how it be. That is fine. It's always, so it means that it will always be at Y. Yeah, by the end of this, it'll do that. But here's the catch. This doesn't happen all at the same time. This push into the floor and applying the velocity is applied in the rigid body, but the collision detection with the floor and snapping it back upwards is applied during the physics processing step of the thing, which happens after everything else. So after everything else is run, it then checks, hey, am I in the floor? Do I need to fix my shit? Whatever. Again, this wouldn't really be a problem if not for this thing, the nav mesh, with some absolutely beautifully written text right here. So the nav mesh is doing something else. The nav mesh is saying, I can make this like purple. Like, can I get like a fill tool on this? That's ass. Good enough. Nav mesh. You're gonna get like you're gonna get some of these, a little bit of those, just some like purple indicator, whatever. So the nav mesh is saying that down here, this is the floor. When the enemy's on the floor here, it just is on the floor. It can move left and right. It moves around. This is how it can avoid obstacles and stuff. Is it can be like, oh shit, I gotta go around, you know? This is how it knows. That's kind of how the enemy walks around. But it does not push the enemy into the floor. In fact, what it does is it sets the enemy's Y position to be above the floor at all times. So, regardless of where this actually is, or where it should be, it just says, this is the floor, you are now here. Again, this would be fine. But it's the combination of these things that's the problem. So let me explain what happens with the combination of them now. So, you start with the enemy here, just on the ground. The rigid body pushes it into the floor, so it's like down here. That is fine. The nav mesh then resets it back up to here, because it's like, this is where the floor is. The physics thing then checks where the enemy is, and it sees that it's above the floor, and it's like, oh, okay, I'm good, don't have to do anything. And it does this every time. Like, it just does that in a loop. Now, visually, there is no problem here. Like, for all intents and purposes, and as far as my game was concerned until fucking last stream, this was entirely fine. The problem here is that depending on where in the frame you check, if you check right here, or here and afterwards, then you get different results. This is not FPS eating. That's not what's happening here. The problem is the differing results here. So if you check after the nav mesh, like any point after the nav mesh, then the position will be correct. But if you check after the rigid body, but before the nav mesh, the position will be in the floor. And that's what was happening last stream. That's why the enemies kept like when they died, their explosion would be fucking in the floor, and my voice like died there. The explosion would be in the floor, while the hitbox would like freak the fuck out when it died, because for whatever goddamn reason, I don't know if this is an internal like compilation optimization, but the code that's running on the sword, this script, weapon melee, or rather the hitbox code that it spawns, happens to run in this exact in this exact position right here. So the sword, this right here, sword, good enough, gun, yeah. So the gun was checking for the position over here, presumably, or maybe it was also over here. I'm gonna say that the gun goes like up to here as well, so I can just write like gun. That's not how you gun. Anyway, so the gun was checking somewhere outside of this place. It just so happens that the sword specifically, when I was making it, happened to line up right between these two. Which meant that it was seeing that it was in the floor when it should have been not. This was stupid. This was agonizing. I'm not gonna lie. This took me a good bit to figure out. You wanna know how I found out? I had it print the position of the enemy every physics update, and I found that it was just slowly sinking into the floor over time, and I was like, what the fuck is happening? So yeah, no wonder I didn't find that on stream yesterday, or not yesterday, like 2 or 3 days ago. No wonder I didn't find that on stream. That's one of the most obscure fucking, like, things that I can think of to have a problem with. And again, the problem was not with any of the code that I had written. It was with the fucking way that the internal rigid body and navmesh scripts work. Why do they do that? I don't know. This seems like a bit of an oversight in the way these were made. It pisses me off. But anyway, I fixed all of that. So now it's actually working now. And oh man, that took a goddamn while. Yeah. Why am I in that? Oh, it's just this. Yeah. Me like showing up to explain. So that was my headache for a while. I've been doing a bunch of other stuff in the meantime. Between those things, I may have shown off some of them. I mean, I've shown you that like I've made the sword a lot cooler in terms of just how it looks, how it sounds, and how it interacts and actually works. I've done some behind the scenes work there. I've been working on making some kind of skin system, although that's very much temporary, at least not temporary, theoretical maybe. I have like some pictures here of what that could be. I was just using some random ass colors to test if it would work. Frankly, I'm not going to show that on stream fully because it doesn't matter. It's not something that I plan to add for a good while, mostly just setting up the groundwork for that. We're doing some multiplayer integration, so you can see, let me bring this up real quick. Build and run. Don't worry why you can't see the thing. It'll appear up here in a second. Oh, yeah, I forgot about these. So if we want to talk about any of these other ones, I guess I could. This is something else. I've noted these to myself. This is just some multiplayer specific code that I want to fix at some point. I vaguely know how to fix it. I just haven't gone about it yet. Man, I am not exactly looking forward to some of that. But so you can see I have this little built version of it. And the only difference here is that it's not in the editor itself, and I just need that so I can actually host something in the editor, join it on this thing. You'll see what's happening. So you can see, hey, look, we have another player, right? So it's like a multiplayer match. Let me go over to the weapons. So basically, when I would pick up a weapon over here, you can see it works. This is all good. There's not been any change really with this. The sword is where I had to do a lot of work. So first of all, I mean, you can hear double audio right now, but you can see that it's actually like working and it's properly displaying across both. Yeah, this took a while. I'm not gonna lie, but it's good now. And I'm not exactly sure how I feel about the holding position of the sword when you're like not attacking. You can see that it looks a bit like I think it's a bit forward. I don't know if I want it to be more vertical, like if I want to rotate it a bit back. I don't know. But the animation is good, IMO. So I'm pretty happy with it. And everything should be synced up between the two now, you know? I don't really have anything else to show in the multiplayer side of things yet. Currently, that's the wrong button. I just started. Okay. The multiplayer handling of the sword functionality is a bit buggy. I'm working on that in the background. It's not the most interesting thing to watch. It's basically just some netcode stuff. Yeah, not exactly like the most interesting IMO, so I will not be showing that as of yet. Mostly because the sword itself is still almost done, but not. Maybe you should make a bigger player model to fix this. No. I don't know what you mean by a bigger player model to fix this. You mean because the sword is too far forward? That's not the problem. The problem is not the size of the player, it's the position of the sword. I was experimenting before with like having a thing where you can lunge forward with the sword. I don't know if I want to keep that. Like maybe you have to be on the ground in order to do it. I haven't exactly tested it out much. I do think it'd be kind of cool to just add like a little bit of a, like if you're on the ground you can lunge forward with the sword. Like maybe it lets you help get towards enemies. But while I was experimenting with that earlier today, I was having trouble. Like if you were trying to back up while hitting the enemy, it just didn't really work because you kept lunging toward them. I don't know if that's exactly something I want to do. Game dev is full of headache. Yeah, I somewhat agree. It definitely has a lot of headaches. I wouldn't say it's full of them necessarily. I think at some point you just kind of get past them. I don't know if that's exactly a fair statement I can make, but That thing with the rigid body and nav mesh mix up, that's like the first time I've really had that much of a problem with game development in a long long time. I think the last like I don't actually know like when the last like thing that I can really recall being that difficult to solve. Nav mesh code is kind of annoying, but I wouldn't really call it much of a headache. It's just not that interesting. It's mostly just like doing what you have in single player, but needing to do it more. It's kind of it. Yeah. I don't know. I, for one, like game development. Game development is too hard and requires math, physics, and a lot of logic. Um, I would say you can get by with just kind of trial and error. You don't, at least like in terms of like math stuff and physics stuff. Like if you're doing like a physics simulation type thing, maybe, but most game engines, and when I say most, I mean like I'm at least talking about the big three that I know of, which is to say Unity, Unreal, and Godot. They have their own inbuilt physics engine. So unless you're doing something like really bespoke, you could probably just use those. Um, and if even if you do need something bespoke, I mean, it's not physics is not that hard. I don't want to like I don't know. Is that like basic physics? At least the theoretical fundamentals of it is not that hard. Granted, I've never tried coding my own physics engine before, so maybe that statement could bite me in the ass later, and I could find out that it's actually like really fucking hard. I don't know, but having taken like physics classes before, the fundamental ideas of how objects interact and how they keep momentum and energy and stuff, that's not like that complex. It's kind of surprisingly easy for mathematics, I would say. But I don't want to create. You like games, but you don't want to create them. Fair enough. I kind of have a little bit of the opposite problem. I don't dislike games, but I'd very much rather make them. I don't know if that's like a thing about me. I just find it a lot more rewarding of an experience. Um, like playing games is cool. I still play games like all the time. I sent a screenshot like last night, in the progress and announcements channel of just me being in Mindplex, and I was like, man, this is a crazy lobby. I still play games, but making them, I genuinely just find a lot more rewarding to do. It has to do with the risk and reward of game development. I think the best way I can put it. Basically, playing games for me without any kind of like external creation is it's a thing. I can definitely do it. It definitely is enjoyable. But I have a specific kind of enjoyment that I really find with making things for other people. Maybe that might be a little bit obvious from the fact that I run a YouTube channel and I write books and I make games, but I like making things for other people to enjoy. I like spreading that joy around. That's kind of my main philosophy. Because I was learning C#, I like C# and everything. Yeah. I mean, that's understandable. Personally, I don't necessarily agree with the idea of needing to take time to explicitly learn a language. Like, for example, you just said that you weren't playing games for 5 months because of learning C#. I don't see why those are mutually exclusive things that you like play. Learning a new language, like specifically C# or really anything, I guess, it shouldn't take away from anything else that you're doing. I mean, especially if you're just doing it in your free time, like you could just do both. I mean, this is maybe more of a personal thing. I just don't like dedicated language study. I think we've briefly talked about this before, but like I don't know. I've always found that, at least for me, I learn best by just making things and figuring out what works and what doesn't, and then figuring out like if there's some new thing I need to do, then I'll look into how to do it and I'll look up the stuff specifically for that. But like there's just so much in programming to learn all at once that I just think it's kind of not very useful to try and study all of it right up front. Maybe programming is part of like gaming. Oh, part of life like gaming. Yeah, I could see that. I mean, for me, like if I'm ever just like kind of bored or doing some other random stuff, I could just be like, yeah, I'll open Unity and do some random thing, you know? Example, last night at like 3 a.m., I was like just kind of bored, so I just opened up Unity and started making like this thing, you know? Not for any like exactly practical purpose as of yet. It is going to serve a purpose much later in the game's development, but it's not something I really had to do right now. I just kind of was like, eh, something to do, man. Var x equals 67 console.write line. Nice. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I should actually like start what I'm gonna be doing today. I've just been kind of yapping for like 25 minutes. I don't really care. It's fun to just kind of talk about game development and stuff. One sec. Sorry, I have to do that a bit more. Yeah, as I said, I got my wisdom teeth removed like fucking yesterday, so I'm fine, mostly. I'm fine. I do want to actually go to the projectiles. So do I want to make a new projectile for explosion? I don't know. I don't know how I want to go about this. There's a few ways I can think of. Probably just a sphere collider that I place on the ground where a bullet like dies, and then I think that'll be fine. Let's try that. This will be a new inherited version of a linear projectile. So we can duplicate normal ass bullet and go from here. So this will be explosive bullet. Right? Crazy. Now let's just start doing stuff that I want to do with this. First off, I can remove the particle inheritance color. I won't be doing that just yet. I can remove it. I can move it back if I want to. Explosive ball. Yeah. Rocket. Lifetime, 2 seconds. Let's give it like 5 seconds, but make it move it like 80. I don't know. I'm just kind of guessing with some of these numbers. We can tweak these as needed. Most of the functionality is going to come from in there. If we want to add any like specific coloration to this, I can very much do some quick thing. So if I go to the renderer, you can see we have these. Let me just create a new color for rocket, and we'll call this like explosive or some shit. I don't exactly know. I'm thinking like an orangey color. Do I need to set the base color? Or is it fine as that? I just kind of want like an orange color. Gimme. This looks yellow. Am I going insane? That's yellow. I don't want yellow. I want like an I don't want yellow. I want orange. Fine, whatever. Oh wait, maybe if I use this. Ah, there you go. Yeah, okay. I can use this to slightly modify it. That makes it a bit more red. This makes it a bit more red. You know what? Good enough. I don't care. This is explosive color. It's very, very yellow. A bit unintentional, considering how much of it I have set to red, but whatever. So I can just go to the renderer. I can change it to be explosive as well. Yeah. So you can see here, if I move this around, you can see it's the same kind of bullet logic. First of all, start lifetime is going to basically be triple. I think that'll be good, and then the emission should be triple as well. Given that's about a third the speed, that checks out for me. I might actually increase the emission to 1, and then change I might like average Roblox game explosive color. I'm just putting something there right now. I'm gonna change it to be its own model later. I'm thinking of having like a separate rocket model. For now, I just want to have something that looks a bit different than the actual normal bullet, just so we can like see that it's different. I think that's cool. I do actually want to keep the trail being different though, so I want to add some noise. Strength, I want it to scroll by like 1 probably. Is that moving? I can't even see in the thing. I just was thinking of, like, if we could have it like that, you know? So it kind of just vibes. We'll see how that looks. Honestly, should be as simple as just changing out something real quick. So if I go to the gamer spawn system, I just gotta define that it exists real quick, and that's the particle effect. I don't need to define the particle effect. There's no death particle yet. So if I just duplicate and I call it rocket, and I give it the, where is it? Where did I put it? It would be in projectiles. Explosive bullet. This guy, right? I'm just gonna take an existing weapon and modify it to be that for now. So you can see I have this. Is that part of the gun itself? Oh, this is an interesting thing. How does the gun, I forget, how does the gun define which bullet it's going to use? Because I thought it has a hitbox name as part of weapon. Oh, I remember. Hold on. I think it's hard coded. So let's go to this. I think it's defined right here. Yeah, one of these. So the projectile name, I'm just going to change to rocket on one of these. So specifically this one, I'm just gonna say rocket, just so that I can test this. So this should make it a yellow bullet that moves slower and has a wilder trail. The thing that we just made, I think. Fuck. That's rifle 2. This is rifle 2. Why no worky? Why no worky? What's up with this? Am I going nuts? Am I going nuts? Maybe. Did I set the right thing in the spawn system? I did. This links to this links to that. What's the problem here? Hello? Like, this is... It's definitely spawning the wrong bullet type. Like, that is just a normal bullet. That's not the rocket bullet. So, why would that be the case? My only guess is that it's spawning explicitly basic on weapon projectile variant shoot. But it shouldn't. You know, it should be using the other one. Projectile name. Weird. Why would this be wrong? Debug out log. Can I just quickly check what it's... Sorry, I hit that key. What it's actually fucking think that it's spawning? I can't imagine why it would be using the wrong one. I just told it not to, you know? I literally just said use explosive and it's just not doing that. It says that it's spawning rocket. What? Hello? Spawn system. Rocket. Rocket goes to... Okay, I found the problem. Look. Okay, I didn't catch it. Nobody told me about it though, so I'm not... Whatever. This should fix it. That's the wrong gun. This one. Yeah! There you go. Okay. This creates these like glowy red, kind of like orangey bullets, and then we can have these explode. Also, this looks cool as fuck, by the way. You know? Look. Imagine we had like a rocket on this. You know? I think this would be sick. So now we just gotta make these explode. But in terms of VFX, cool as fuck. I like the color is nice and the warbly trail is pretty cool. You know? And the ways it did exactly what I thought it would do. Differentiates it pretty heavily from the normal bullets. I could speed them up a little bit, make them a little bit faster, but yeah. I'm liking where this is at. Maybe like 120 instead of 80. Because normal bullets move at a speed of 220. That's just the movement speed that I have set on those. So to compare, this is a normal bullet shot. Yeah. You should name it fat ass bullet. Maybe later. So currently you can see when they hit the wall, nothing happens. They just disappear. We gotta add the explosive. I can see the particle trail is not being correct slightly. But now we gotta make an explosion. Guys, how do you make an explosion? How does one explode? I think we just start with a sphere collider. I think that's the best place to start. You know, we're gonna start with a sphere. Simple as that. Um, and we'll just bring this up as needed. So first of all, hitbox, same kind of deal. This should be able to use the same kind of logic, right? I'll get rid of the mesh collider and the sphere stuff, just so we're or the mesh renderer. Maybe you should make an explosion effect for first. The explosion effect for I'm gonna make it functional first, and then I'm gonna work on the VFX. I think that's probably a good idea. I'll call this explosion. I'm so evil. And the hitbox lifetime will be 0.5 seconds or something. Kill self on hit, no. Yeah. Doesn't need any inherency yet. Should be good. So now we go to the hitbox. Now, currently, the hitbox has, I should add another, public bool requires line of sight, and this will be equal to true by default on the hitbox. This should not be true on the rocket. Or maybe I need to make it requires line of sight to the projectile for... Oh, hold on. I'll make this, instead of a bool, I'll make it an enum. Sight line. Public enum sightline. So you could basically check what it requires here. None. Bro, why is it always public? I hate non-public things. I'll make some things non-public. In this case, this is because I need to access it from the inspector. I will on occasion just make any variable I want public. These are specifically because I need to access them in the inspector. This is because I need to access it over here, so it'll appear right there. You can see it says requires line of sight. If it was private, it wouldn't show up here. That's your answer. But also because I just don't like private that much. I'll do it sometimes. You can see I do it for variables that don't need to be accessed outside. But I just have a tendency to make things public, in all honesty. So let's grab 2 player and 2 bullet. Or 2 projectile. There you go. Oh, okay. It wasn't yeah. It's, well, it's partly a programming war crime. It's partly a Unity engine thing. You can, if you want, you can make it private and then do was it show and inspect? What is it? Serialize. It's been a minute since I've had to do this, and I just normally don't. There's a thing that you can tag it as to make it show up in the inspector while it's private. I just don't. I just think it's easier to write public. Besides, I do like just having things as that anyway. Equals just by default sightline dot to player, and then so I can then require line of sight requirement, and I can just basically be like if line of sight, can this if line of sight is not equal to line of sight of sight. Oh, sorry, sightline, yes. Sightline dot to that none. So in other words, yep. D dot transform dot position. This is a temporary thing because I don't have a thing. There you go. So this will be this, and then the other part will be the place that you're getting the sightline to. Public vector 3 get sightline origin. I'm just gonna. I guess I'll just do a use a switch statement for this. I mean, I think it'd be a bit more efficient to do something else. And in the case of to projectile, then I just return transform dot position, and then I can do get sightline origin. There you go. All of that. Well, fuck you. I guess I'll just default to vector 3.0. Anyway, so all of that means I now should be able to change this freely. I should be able to change this freely between to player, to projectile, or to none. In this case, I'll do it to the projectile, so you need to have a line of sight to where the bullet explodes. So you shouldn't be able to hit things through walls. I don't know if I want to change that or not, but it should prevent that part. So you need to actually what just crashed here? What? What? Oh, sorry. I forgot. I gave it the component, but I left it in the scene, so it didn't spawn incorrectly. Also, what is going on? Oh, I'm in 2D view. Why am I in the 2D view? Get me out. There we go. That I forgot we had that enabled. Or I think I accidentally enabled it. I don't think I forgot. Anyway, so I can change the size freely if I want here. Let's just make it like fucking 5. I don't know. I don't know what's like a good size for this. I'll make it 4 for now. We'll see. If I need to change it, it's fine. Don't care. This is good. This is exactly what I want it to be. Yeah, mostly VFX time. I think this will just straight up work if I tell it to do this. So, there are a few caveats. I need to make some slight adjustments to some code elsewhere, but genuinely might just work. So, oh wait, I should make a projectile spawn like child projectile. Where is my weapon thing? Weapon thing. So you can see that it has this bullshit. Set profile, whatever. I'm gonna make a public void set from parent projectile. Okay, so now I can say a dot fucking. Okay, fine. I'll make this public so I can access it. Actually, wait. Can I access it like this? Oh, I can. That's cool. Okay, never mind. Anyway. What was I gonna do? So I could just take all of these basically and move them over as I need to. So, set projectile from parent. I don't know if I want to copy these specifically. I need to basically create a special case in the explosive bullet where it itself does not apply the explosive damage, right? Project. Is it the fucking Among Us character? Hold on. I think it's rendering it weird in OBS. No, it's not the OBS character. Or the OBS. It's not the Among Us character. That'd be cool if it was. Alright. I will just copy over some of these things. Real equals a dot real. That's for one. I can do set owner of a dot owner. Anything else I need to move over from here? Spawn data. That should be copied very much so. A dot spawn. Actually, why does this have a reference to spawn data? Because I might give it its own. For now, I'll keep it copy. I'll just copy it from its parent. Spawn data equals spawn data. Yeah, that's good. And the only other things are the ideal and start pause, but I mean, I don't need to explicitly set those. So yeah. Actually, if we are gonna... No, I won't explicitly set those. So, you can see that I basically just created this thing which duplicates some data from the parent projectile to a child projectile, and that's because the explosion hitbox is technically a projectile of a kind. So I need to basically say is on the hit entity code right here, this thing. Can I just overwrite it to not I'm trying to think of how I can, because kill self will do it. It'll destroy it. It'll add to rem. Kill self on hit. Yeah. Hmm. And this doesn't run. Okay, well there's projectile linear variant. Can I find that? Thank you, thank you. Linear projectile. The only other changes is like this is death particle stuff on impact. But the actual code for damage is not changed. So basically the thing that I'm running into here is I want to have the damage applied via the sub projectile that it spawns, aka the sphere that I just created. I wanted to have it go through that instead of through the bullet that you're literally shooting. The problem is that this code with the projectile is coded so that the actual hit functionality is based on that. So I guess public bool can deal damage equals false or equals true. Sorry, I would not make that false by default. Oh, you could just put that up there, and then the same kind of deal. If can deal damage. So this should let me turn that off basically on the bullet. Gimme my explosive. I can just say nope, no more damage, none for you, and it's done. Ish. I gotta make the linear projectile like spawn the other one. Shouldn't be that bad. Same kind of deal here. Syncing this over multiplayer is gonna be a bitch. I'll do that later. Actually, this is by death particles. Yeah, so this is explosive, or did I call it rocket? I called it rocket. Never mind. Rocket. So we're going to spawn, and instead of a death particle, we're gonna spawn the explosion itself. So actually, I do need to put this into here now. I can remove it from there, and I can call this explosion for real. And I can go to the spawn system. I can make a new reference to explosion. Gimme. Explosion. RP equals. You know what? Dot get component of projectile. I can technically specify it more, but I don't need to. P dot. Okay, P2, fine. P2 dot set from parent projectile rocket. So this. And that'll just be like the sound effects, but I'll delete the sound effects for now. So unless I'm mistaken, you know, it might just work. Okay, so it's not working. That's the answer. And this is also throwing errors and stuff. Calc invoke is throwing an error on... What? What? Hold on. Why was that not dealing damage? Hold on. Let me check the let me check some things here. First of all, let me just make sure I didn't do the same mistake I did last time. Good. Explosion is set to explosion. I'm going to add a renderer component to this real quick. Just create a 3D effect of a sphere, just so that I can fucking see what it's doing. I'll give this the same material, just so that it matches, you know? It's the same kind of glowy red material that the explosive bullet has. This will let me see physically where it's spawning. So let's see. It is spawning in the correct position. I can understand it. Okay, me not being able to see it there. Hold on. That's part of it. That's part of it. I think I just gave it a collider by accident. Let me go fix that. Where is it? Projectiles, explosion. Yeah, you get out of here, Sphere Collider. I don't want the collider on it. I want the visual representation exclusively. Anyway, the reason when I couldn't see it when I shoot too close is because my camera's literally just inside of it. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, like you can see that it spawns it. It's just I'm inside it, so you can't see it. It's not double-faced. Why does that not work? Why is that not working? Because that should work. But it says object reference outside to an instance of an object. Running from you. But that. How could this not be equal to. What? How could this throw the error? There's no way that's throwing the error. There's no way that line throws the error. So. It runs hit, and it runs hit from an aux event, which is called down here. On hit invoke. Wait a minute, what? Hold on. So that's called because the hitbox. Huh. Huh, yeah, I don't know. I am thoroughly confused. Let's step through this. So hitbox calls hit decide other game object. That should exist. Projectile. So it gets the projectile of the explosion. The projectile component of the explosion runs this, and it's like everything's good. We're going to hit the enemy. We're going to hit the enemy. So then the next thing that it runs is the actual hit entity code. That's some sound effects that it's playing, but shouldn't affect anything else. So we get to here. So this runs the base hit entity code over here. So now it's hitting the actual enemy itself with the damage profile, which is still good. And then we get to here. In what way is this throwing an error? Why would that be throwing a problem? What? I'm explicitly giving it the thing. Set profile. And did I not run? Oh, wait. Wait. Hold on. I'm so smart. Okay. So I may have forgotten to give the damage profile to the projectile, but now it should work. Still shouldn't run on me. It should run on the end. Not really. It's not throwing an error anymore. Did I set the can damage inverted? Can deal damage. What? Okay. Continues being weird. How is that able to work? How are you able to deal damage on impact? Like what? Hold on. Let's go to the weapon. So, hold on. Let me check the no hit. None of those. Let me set that to none on explosion. Right? Line of sight requirement none. That might solve it. My guess right there was that it was in the floor, the line of sight check, and there before was colliding on the floor. If that's the case, yep, that was the case. Boom, dude. Okay, we have an explosion of sorts. I mean, that's something. That's definitely something. I don't know if we want to work on the VFX for this right now, or like the sound effects. I think it's funny that it's running the because it's using the hitbox code, the same one as the sword. It's just it's just setting the sound effects to be this. Let me just say, should I make like should I add that as a new Boolean? I don't know how I should tell it to not make these sound effects or not use both. If sm is not equal to null, and I'll switch these to 2. There you go. Cool. So now it shouldn't run those sound effects. Actually, well, one thing. Case rocket. Actually, no. Wait, is this explosive? Explosion. Break. Okay. So the explosion should stop making those the sword hit sound effect noise. I'll probably want to add some kind of different sound effect for the explosion happening. We'll also want to add VFX for this. Gimme. Okay. Yeah, so now it's just running the normal hit. Gang. That's pretty cool. Also, you can build like a bridge of explosions because it's hitting the explosion thing. I know what's happening here. That's really funny. I just need to set the tag to no bullet hit, or I guess to bullet instead, but that's really cool. The bullet was colliding with the collider of the explosion, causing that to happen. So yeah, now they don't do that. Honestly, that orange bubble doesn't look too bad if I could just add some like extra stuff to that, you know? We can make that like warble in and out, add some like poof stuff. Like, it's not that bad. It's not that bad at all. I think that's kind of funny. I think we should probably make like an actual explosive gun later, but I'm fine with using this as just a baseline to test it. Some other things. I might add I want to add rocket jumping so that you can like knock yourself around with it, but I gotta figure out how to do that. So that'll be something for later. Right now, I think we can work on the VFX of this. Whew, so we can now create an aux particle effect, yeah? Boom. This thing, I don't know. I might make an inherited version of this class real quick. And just call this, particles. We'll call this, can I grab a thing? Explosive particle. And you will inherit from aux particle. Right, this will just give me the things that I need for this. So I can override any of these, whatever. So do I want to add a fixed update playback or a coroutine playback? Probably. For some of these are pretty simple though. I can just straight up run a few of these. First of all, aux particle, yeah. Let's create a UI, or not UI, sorry, effect particle system. I want to add like a poof, you know? I kind of have that before, so I can grab these. And I can go back to projectiles and I can go to explosion. And I can delete that and I can do paste. You know? Let me disable this so you can see these even. Or not. Because they're super fucking far away. There you go. You can see it creates a little poof there, and this creates a different poof. They should create together a big explosion. Does this change the, it does not change the emission shape. Okay. So emission and shape are what I need to fix. I need to tweak here. So instead of a radius of 0.5, I think you have a radius of like 2.5. Maybe more. Because this is like a thing of 4. You know? So you have to double it? 8? Yeah, okay, you have to double it. And then emission shape, you just run radius 8, and the count will be 25. Wait, I just realized those are probably not the same size. 75. This one's, I think, is half as much. I had it before. Let me change the size real quick. From U to the shape. Why does it say a radius of this? Let's go 4. What the fuck? What? 0.5? 1? What is going on here? I'm not exactly sure, but oh, and I click both when it's running both at the same time. This is just creating a little bit of a little fart cloud explosion. I might actually increase the radius of this from what I had before. That'll make it the same size, so they explode at the same... Nah, I don't want them to be the exact same. I want them to be like radius of 1.5, and then this one to be a radius of like 9? I don't know, I'm just kind of spitballing here. Because you gotta imagine we're gonna have that here, and that's going to shrink and grow and stuff, but it'll also have these particles kind of coming out of it. So immediately, if I create an... Oh, this actually already has an aux particle on it. But I do want to add some extra functionality, so I will delete that. Add the aux particle of explosive particle. Oh, I didn't save on the inspector. Or in the code editor, I mean. Literally, I'm doing the same shit, different wipe. Put that in there. Okay. And the reason is just because I want to reference this at some point and have this Grinken Shro, not Shrink and Grow. Yeah, thank you, Brian. Grinken Shro. You can see we're starting to get some stuff. You can see we get the particles, but the big sphere is kind of in the way, you know? It's kind of blocking our ability to see it, so we got to add some stuff with that. A little bit. I'm thinking we make this kind of it kind of goes like starts like that, you know, where that's what I'm thinking. So where, pray tell, is my explosive particle? Public game I guess I'll just use transform. Public transform. Is this just because it's not using Unity editor right now? I don't know. Explosive sphere. There you go. Can you? There you go. So public override. So we're gonna override the playback thing. Do I need to override anything to tell it that it has that? Has playback is currently false. Why is that hidden in the inspector? Okay, I'm not exactly sure if I agree with that design. I might make it so that's overridable instead. Public override on awake has playback equals true. Whatever. So now we basically just have this coroutine, which will be run, should be run, right, by this? It starts the coroutine playback, yes. So we can now do whatever the fuck we want for an animation. I think a good place to start would be saying on awake, we just set the I'm continuing that to explode. Explode dot local scale equals vector 3.0. Now I can do yield return oxlerp dot linear from. Let's just put a gimme Now how long do I want that to go for? Like 0.1 f? Times x. I'm just running some stuff here. Times 1 minus x. Or x equals 1 minus x. I can just keep that as x. And then, yeah. Okay. So this should decay and do what we want. Oh wait, I gotta sign it. So this should make it like poof in and then shrink out, but I'll want to add a bit more like pizzazz. I want to add a bit more, I guess, easing, just so that it's not like linear, but you'll see, right? You can see the vision. You can see the vision. I just gotta add some easing to that, so it's not like really fucking slow. So it's not like really bad. So I'm gonna say x equals random functions dot instance dot e or dot ease. Gee, I can never fucking remember which one of these I actually have. Ease in, I think, is what I'm gonna do. And then the same kind of deal, but it starts at 1 and fades out quickly. This will basically just make it do a little bit of a boomerang. It'll hover more on the fully extended than in the not. That's the idea. You know? Maybe I make the retraction a bit. Like you gotta imagine there's like an explosion sound effect, you know? Okay, I might make the particle effect spawn a bit less far away. Does spawn a bit far. So let's go to the death explode external particle effect and change this from like 9 to back to 8. Let's say, so it's right on the maybe 8.3 or something. So it's a bit, but like not much. Then over here, just 2 or something. I want it to still go out. I could also use a different easing function if I think this is not what I want. I could do the inverse. I could have it basically ease the other way, so it disappears faster. Boom. But like, is it? What? Why is it so? I'm not sure what's going on there. Why it's able to sometimes spawn just not at all. So if you do it too close, you can see the internal explosion. But I'm not against this for the effect so far. I kind of don't like how you can't see most of the internal particle effects. I might feel like I want to make those move out with more like force, you know? So these already have an internal speed, but if I give it like a 30 internal speed. What is this doing? Is this not having at all of an effect? What? What's the point? Hold on, wait. It is those tiny ones that this should be affecting, I believe. Am I just going insane? What the fuck? What? Why is it doing that? What? Like 40 is fine, but the other one isn't? Huh? Like 80. That breaks it? What am I looking at? I don't know. I'm scared. Does it have to like to do a... If I do a velocity over lifetime kind of deal? If I give it like a 10 velocity over lifetime. Why does it just stop moving? I only guess it's that, but like this is insane. Like I want it to slow down eventually. That's the goal. I don't want it to just keep going forever. I do want it to stop. I just don't want it to. What this drag is doing nothing. Okay, the drag does nothing. I'm going insane. But that does something. Huh? I don't know what I'm looking at. 0.6. 0.3. What are these settings? I've never really messed with these, I will say. Okay, we're getting somewhere. So this can be 0.6. Because I want it to stay somewhat near the surface. The other one can be not you, don't care, 0.3. I want it to go out more. 40, and the other one had a different dampen. Well, a drag of 100. I'm not sure if that matters. .1. I want those to go out further, you know? Oh yeah, okay. We're getting somewhere. Look at this. Look at this. Might need to reduce on the big particles, but like, oh yeah, dude. Explosion. It's happening. I'm going to do a velocity over time on at least the big particles in here. So that it always has so that it has a higher drag coefficient. So they stay a bit closer, but then I'll give it a radial of 2 or something. Maybe a radial 5. I want them to appear, but not much. Yeah, maybe. And then this one I can obviously do a lot more with in terms of speed. But yeah, I'm liking where this is going. All right, let's take a look at this. Maybe this is responding a bit too close to the edge. 1.2. Right, so it spawns at 1.2 and then wait. I'm thinking here. 0.2. I just want like a little bit of dampening on it. And then maybe 0.3. So it has a different, I just want it to be damped differently than the other one, but enough that it can still like be classified as an explosion. And then I just reduce its velocity to like 8. Is it the initial velocity that's really being affected by here? I don't know. I'm just kind of messing with stuff, seeing how it looks. I think this could be interesting. I'm not against this inherently. Like imagine kaboom, you know, like you had like an explosion sound effect. That's not bad. I just don't like how far the poof is appearing from the surface. So I might reduce its initial velocity down to like 20 instead of 25. I want the poof to be right on the edge of the circle, you know? I want it to be floating. So, well, I mean, it's gonna float a little bit, but not as much. Like, this is getting to be pretty good, IMO. In terms of like just in a base explosion type look. I don't know if I want to add any other kind of like particle effects that happen during this, or what. Or if I just want to keep it pretty simple. maybe further reduce the initial speed. I'm just taking a look at what I can do here. Yeah. Okay. So imagine that. But I'm going to crank up the amount a little bit from like 25 to 40. And I'm also going to crank up the initial amount here to like 100. So there's a few more particles here, like 140 of them instead of what, like 100 before? Like, that's not bad. That's not bad. It's really just a problem if I want to have the other parts be like bright. So you basically have 3 different things. You have the sphere, the dust, and the spiky bits that come out. So what if I take this parent, delete, make it a child. I don't think the child part being really matters all that much. Same kind of deal. Oh god. Why is that so much different? What? Okay. Well, I didn't want it to be that much different. Jesus. I'm not sure. Okay, hold on. Let me just take that, delete that, remove type deal. Remove component. I don't need any of those. So that's fine. That's fine. That's not fine. Okay. So I just gotta keep it not like parented to that for whatever reason. You know what? Sure. I don't care. Lifetimer won't matter. It's not gonna do it. I'll keep live forever on just because it's gonna kill itself anyway. There's a different means. You. I was thinking, what if if we had one of these, like a secondary one of these, but its material was set to be explosive instead of death smoke, you know? So in other words, we actually have twice as many of the shooty out things, but half of them are now different color. Like, that's pretty cool. Like, kaboom. You know? I think that's pretty good. I'm happy with this, frankly, but we'll see. Actually, I might reduce. I might make these. I don't know what would make more sense to have the smoke go further, or I think the smoke should go further. So instead of having the start speed of 40, I could have it as like 35, or maybe 30. Yeah, I just wanted to have it like a bit more inwards. I don't want them going out as far. But yeah, like, this is pretty good. I like that. Or I could even make it the same initial speed, just reduce the radius. That honestly might be the play. Hold on. So that is initial speed of 40. This can be an initial speed of 40, but I take the emission shape radius. Instead of from 8, we go like 6. You know? So they have to spawn a lot more inwards. They spawn more focused. Now you can't really tell that they're there. Let's see how this looks out here. That does kind of remove their impact. So maybe halfway? Instead of 6 point... Where is it? Instead of 6, we go like 7.1? I want them to be visible. I just don't want them to take center stage away from the smoke that goes out on the outside. So we'll see. They should be adding to the flare. They should not be taking full thing. Yeah. Right? Oop. But like, explosion, explosion. Like if, I mean, there's no sound effects because I don't have any explosive sounds, but imagine that, you know? So then you spawn an enemy and then you're like, okay, but then let's spawn like 10. Yeah. So I know what's happening here. First of all, the trigger is lasting the entire time the hitbox, or the entire time the particle effect is there. I probably want the hitbox to basically be immediately disabled-ish. So I might make a lifetime. Just like a real quick. I forgot about forgot about that class. Yeah. I probably just want to make something that turns off the hitbox after like 0.1 seconds or something. Do I have a projectile already should use an funny update? Update 2 is available. So let's go life. I'm just gonna go over to the hitbox and the disable hitbox timer equals 0.1. Public override of where is it? Can I get update 2? And I'm just going to, all I'm going to do with this is I'm going to say, do I have a reference to hitbox? I don't have a reference to hitbox. Collider C, or resettable value float equals new of this. Thank you. Hitbox timer dot val hitbox timer dot current minus equals delta time, or time dot delta time. Sorry, time dot delta time. So this is just creating a timer which will count down from 0.1 seconds. And I'm just gonna say collider dot set active, or I guess enabled, equals false. That'll disable it forever. I'm just going to do if there you go. Okay. So now that should let me do is I can create some specific behavior in hitboxes. First of all, I need to go back over to projectiles. All of these need to be tweaked. Your disable hitbox timer is fine. Yours is not. Cool. Right, so what this should mean is it shouldn't just, the hitbox shouldn't last the whole time. It should only last, hold on. Hold on, I gotta actually give it the reference. Whoops. There you go. Okay. Now, after 0.1 seconds, it should turn off the hitbox so it stops colliding with things even though the particle effect is there. What? What? Why would it do that? Huh? Hold on. Oh! I know what's happened. I just need to do... Where? Where? Do I have an override for awake? I know what's happened here. It's just not being set to the correct timer. Where is projectile? So, do I have an override for awake? I do. So I'm just going to take this. I'm going to take this in the hitbox, and I'm going to say public override, and I'm literally just going to do sorry, this dot set to initial. Yeah, okay. The timer was just starting at 0, so it was immediately turning off, which meant sometimes it would hit something, or sometimes it would immediately turn off and then hit nothing. This should fix it. This should fix it. Let me make sure this is back to point 1. No, it is not. Okay. Annoying. 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 But it should be good now. It should be good. No crashing. That's cool. Yeah, yep, okay. Now, it's much less vicious at destroying the entire thing in 2 shots. Now what we next need to figure out is line of sight to the projectile. So basically what was happening before, which I haven't figured out how to fix, is when it was spawning, or when it was doing the explosion, line of sight projectile, it wasn't hitting the enemy when you hit the floor, and the reason is because it was the initial raycast was hitting the floor itself that it impacted, and I'm not exactly sure how I can fix that, or if I even can. Aside from just being like, if the radius is less than, like, if the distance is less than fucking, if hit dot distance is less than 0.0. You know? What is this distance to? I guess this distance along the raycast. Hold on, let me try putting this into precision here. The projectile. So this should be fine. So it should just ignore anything that's too close to it. Not generous enough, but this should be fine. Yeah. I don't know how to feel about that. But if I check if it's less than 1, then it'd probably be fine. Why am I getting a message from the thing? Creep copy. I see. Why is that not working? Why would that not work? Oh, I'm so smart. I'm so smart. It's not that. It's the it's the other thing. It's the hit non-entity. I bet that's what's happening. Or some wait, no, that also doesn't really make any sense though. No. No, I'm back to being confused. I thought it was that so when projectile runs hit decide and it runs hit entity, it still runs kill self. Not. Hit non-entity runs nothing. Except for a linear projectile, which overwrites hit non-entity, or it should. Nope, it doesn't. That's really weird, actually. What? Wait, how does death particle get called? It gets called by impact, and impact is called when it runs this. no, it's separate. Okay. Okay. So no, I'm back to being confused. So the yeah, no, I think that's what's happening here. So basically, it's only running the distance check if you hit an enemy, not if you hit the ground. I think. In other words, if I go to hitbox, can I route those in any way? No. No, wait, that still doesn't make sense. Why would them... No, because they're still entering the hitbox. It still runs hit decide. And that shouldn't stop if there's other colliders. It should do that on every collider that enters it. No, I'm back to being confused again. But no, but the thing is, it's only when I have this. I'm confusing myself here. So... something in here is causing a problem? Gets a line of sight from the D to transform to position. Raycast E to RR. Huh. No, that doesn't make any sense. That should work. No? Let me run a test real quick. Debug.log collided on dot name. Oh, sorry, plus. That should mean I can see what's causing it to fail the radius check. So, go to explosion, yada yada. Explosion, projectile. Yeah, good. Okay. So it isn't that it's not detecting it. It's just that it's getting canceled in there. Rocket, but that's just something else. Did I zoomed in? Okay. So let's spawn one enemy. Collision on the fucking What? What? What are you talking about? Sorry, collided on enemy clone. It collided on itself. It should have returned. How was that possible? Is the... like... it's right there. What? Huh? Yeah, collided on d.gameobject.name. In other words, it's saying that it's colliding with itself. Sorry, let me just make this more clear. I, and then I'm gonna say hit.collider.gameObject.name collided on. Just to clarify, are these printing the same thing? What would be causing these to not be the same? Like what? I'm a bit confused, one might say. My floor. Okay, so no, okay, I was just being confused. Okay, so I just swapped these around. I'm so dumb. But I'm not entirely wrong originally though. Of that, it's hitting the floor somehow. Let me do plus, hit dot distance. Just how far are you hitting from it? That'd be an interesting thing to note. Because I might be able to... Like, I was trying to filter it out by distance before, but it didn't work. For some reason. Let me check. 2.5, 2.5, 1, 2... Why is it like 2.5? I'm seeing like up to upwards of 2.5. So, hmm. Hmm. Oh, wait. Is it starting from the enemy? No, no, no. Yeah, it's starting from the enemy. Hold on. Hold on. I was like, why would the distance be varying that much? It was varying based on the size of the enemy, because the bigger the enemy is, the further the enemy is from the floor. But if I start from the bullet, then the distance should be very close. Let's confirm. Dude, okay. Yeah, that was the problem. That was the entire problem. Okay. I am just going to also say if hit dot distance is less than or equal to 0.1f, I'll just continue anyway. So if for whatever reason it's checking right up against a wall and it fails, it should be good now. Ah, okay, okay. Fun problem. Solved, but we're good now, right? Yeah. Dude, the explosions, they be working. And now I can spawn 10. Dude, this is peak. Now, obviously, they're a bit overtuned right now in terms of DPS, because we're basically going on a gun that's meant to only shoot one projectile to something that's able to hit, like, all of them. So it's kind of able to eviscerate them. And also, I'm not really caring about balancing right now. Anyway, but dude, this is cool. Oh yeah, I'm pretty happy with this. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I'd want to add, like with the like VFX of this. For now, I'm fine with it. I think let's try and add rocket jumping next. I think that'd be a fun thing to do. I should make a thing for if you hit yourself. Projectile. So basically I have this thing, if you hit your owner, return false. Now, I'm gonna make a public virtual void, hit self entity object, D, right? Same kind of thing. Do I want to do anything? Do I wanna add like a boolean? Yeah, okay. I'm just gonna default this to false. Okay. So what I'm just gonna check here is I'm gonna say return either. Oh, sorry. In this one, if the owner type is the same, I'm gonna check d.entity.owner. No? d.entity? d.entity is equal to owner. There you go. So in other words, if you hit a teammate, there is no code that runs. If you hit yourself, it runs this. And now, with the hitbox, I can then I really should be fucking inheriting this into an explosive thing instead of just bastardizing the hitbox code, but I don't care. I might refactor this later, but for now it's fine. Public override. So we are now going to override hit self. If name is equal to explosive, else. And then return false. You're the only one who should be able to return true on a hit self. My nose is going crazy. What the fuck? Hold on. Okay. So now I should be able to detect debug.log player hit itself. Man. So all of the other weapons should not be affected by this, right? The explosive, the sword, or the explosive should only be the only one. The normal guns, the sword, nothing's happening. I should remove that debug statement here. And then it's not happening. I don't know why. Hold on. First off, you can get saved. Order of events. Itself is being called from you. We check if the entity is equal to the owner, which it should. The only case would be if the owner and the entity did not match. Entity object of what you hit is the player itself. The owner should be inherited because of set owner on the thing. I can quickly start and test this. I mean, it's been working before. I can't imagine the owner flag would stop working now. So my only guess is that this function just isn't being run. Unless, wait. I'm so dumb. That's not the name. That's not what it's called. It's called explosion. It's called explosion. It's not called explosive. Yeah, no fucking shit. It's not gonna run. I didn't tell it to check for the right thing. It's so stupid. Anyway. Yeah, okay, fix that. Hey, it says it. It says it. You can hold on. It says it in the console, player hit self. That's good. So now, here's the magic. We can now run some code to get the distance between the two and knock the player back. Let's do that. Our diff vec equals player, or I guess d.transform.position minus transform.position. I don't know if I need to negate this. I just put them in a random order. I'm gonna say up d dot own or d dot entity dot player self dot add motion diff vec. I can scale these as needed. I'm actually gonna probably want to do that. So let's grab if vec dot normalized. Dot normalize. No. If vec equals diff dot normalized times if vec dot magnitude dot remap. I'm just going to convert this from a range of 0 to its maximum radius. So collider dot no? No? Well, I know what it has to be. In hell, all right. I know it has to be either like 2 or 4. So I'm just going to say from 0 to 4. Convert from 0 to 4 to 4 to 0. You know? So it inverts it. Dude, I am falling apart a little bit right now. I'm fine. It does appear that talking this much is taking a bit of a toll on me, but we'll see how I continue to hold up. Huh. Well, that's not doing anything. Oh wait, no, it is. It's working. It's just very small. Very small. Times 10. Times 100. Am I gonna get launched, or am I just gonna go like a decent distance? I just multiplied the difference vector by 100, so this could be pretty bad. This should have heavily biased upwards momentum, if I remember. I've really gotta fix this weird ass thing with the bullets spawning in the floor like that. Dude, that's pretty funny. Okay, hold on. So let's make it maybe not 100, maybe like 10. And then also diff vec dot y divide by equals like 1.5f. Just I know that for whatever reason Unity handles the I guess it's not really Unity's fault. It's just what's it? Oh, that shadows and stuff. The Y is just much more sensitive to change than the X and Y, or sorry, X and Z. So I just need to make the radius bigger. This is genuinely just too small. Hold on. Explosion radius to 7. Actually, maybe we'll make it 6. That seems better. And then in the code, I really need to make this dynamically update based on the radius of the fucking projectile instead of hard coding that, but I'll fix that later. Oh wait, I can get transform.scale. Right? I can get float c equals trans.scale dot x. Aha, there we go. That should update dynamically now. May or may not be dividing the results by 2. In other words, it's scaling from 3 to 0, but I don't care. Not my problem. Okay, this is a little bit insane. There's no like VFX that you can see. So you're not seeing like the screen shake or anything like that, but you can notice that I'm getting flung, right? Like oh, I just realized the particle scale is not being affected. It's kind of annoying. I had those kind of perfected. Shit. Okay. You know what? I'll deal with that at a later time. And why, for whatever reason, the local scale is not affecting the scale of the particle effects. Because I do want it to appear like this, just bigger. Wait, can I, This is really weird, right? Because, like, it definitely recognizes there's a problem if you move too close. But if you're just the right angle, then it just lets you shoot. Like, what? Is that a problem with all weapons or just this? Hold on. Huh. Alright, cool. I'm not sure why that's the case. Linear projectile? It would be in weapon projectile variant that this happens. So, I raycast all from the to get X. So X is currently equal to this monstrosity. In other words, the weapon pivot rotation, bullet spawn location, weapon pivot position. Okay. So wait, the weapon pivot rotation. So I'm modifying the bullet spawn location by the pivot and the position further by the rotation. So that checks out. That checks out. It sends a raycast from my head to that with a magnitude of that. That checks out. Like, that does work. Like, what if I just make it longer? Like, what if I just make it check more, you know? I'm like, check, but more. Hold on, I want to check one thing first. Oh, it's gone back up. That's cool. IDRC. I was yeah, yeah, that did not fix it. I don't know why. Why would it just suddenly stop colliding there? Like, you can see it's fine, stops, and then remembers. My only guess is that the bullet spawn position isn't where it thinks it is. You know? In other words, the, if I had to put this raycast is not raycasting in the right spots. Let me just... stand... I don't have like a thing to spawn like a debug sphere. Create 3D object, sphere. I do 0.2. I'm just gonna color this something crazy like purple, maybe orange or red or something. I feel like my nose is fucking killing me. What the fuck? Why is it doing this? Nose, what the fuck? I'm being betrayed. Anyway, I need to blow my nose again, bro. This is crazy. All right. I'm just gonna take this and I'm gonna spawn it. That's all I'm gonna do. Wait, remove the collider. I'll give this like do I have a misc? Misc. Debug sphere. And I go to the spawn system and I spawn debug point. Spawns spawn data, so it just yeah. Okay, sorry, that was family called. I had to quickly do something there. Anyway, spawn data. I was going to do the debug thing. I have that on the clipboard. Yeah, debug point. Dot position. Yeah. So where does it think that it's checking? Is what I want to know. Just after, like this could be like subtly wrong the whole time, and I wouldn't know. Like this code has been around for a long time. It's very possible that something here broke. My only guess, but that's right though. That's accurate. That is exactly where the bullets spawn. What? What? Hmm. I don't know what to make of that. So it's just deciding that it doesn't want to work anymore? Why? What if I just make the check really long? I'm like, just make it 3 times as long. Why don't you? Check thrice as much. I don't see why this would make much of a difference. Considering it should be spawning them correctly, regardless. What the fu- Oh, hold on. It is spawning them. It is correctly positioning them. It's that the backing isn't correct. Hold on. Um, I thought I had this. Uh, so how can I best do that? What's the best way I can do that? So basically they're spawning inside the wall, already colliding with it. So I just need to back them up a little bit. Can I just grab plus? It's just like a -1 times that, but not like a big -1. Just like a -0.1 F. I think this is the problem. I think they were spawning so close to the wall that they were colliding, or that the bullet collider was behind it. That would be my guess. That would be my guess. Yeah. I swear I fixed this before. I swear I fixed this before. But it's fixed now. It's fixed now. Yeah, so now you can freely explode your feet as you want. Dude, you can jump so high with that. I might have to reduce the vertical. Then again, you can also launch yourself, like, pretty far like that. Let me go back to 1.5 and change it to 2.5. Where is my weapon? Or sorry, it's in hitbox. Yeah, you. Guys. Guys, this is big. This is big, one might say. It's working. Is my connection bad? Has my streaming not been going good? Hold on. I just noticed that this is like a red bar down there. That would kind of suck if that was just broken this whole time. That's the
Hey nerds, today we're going to be talking
that's the video. Yeah, I realized the second I clicked it. Let me see this. Is this going? Hello? Oh, shit. Ah, shit. Guys. Guys, what the fuck? I haven't been able to see... Guys, I haven't been able to see chat for, like, a while. Look at this. Look at this. So this was chat. This is chat, right? So I thought that there just, like, wasn't a chat happening, but I was still just kind of going, you know? Because, I mean, that's just called professionalism and whatnot. Apparently, this was set to top chat for whatever reason, so I just, like, didn't... Yeah, what the fuck? Why would you do that? Why is that like that by default? That's stupid. So, I didn't notice that there was other people talking for a while because of that. Oh, apparently I broke 100 subs. That's cool. Guys.